Everything is All right, we're going to get this meeting going. Mr. Curtis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met in closed session to discuss items 3A, 3B, 3C, and 3D. There was no reportable action on any item.
Thank you. If anyone wishes to address the city council on any item considered at this meeting before or during council's consideration of that item, please enter your name into the digital kiosk in the lobby. The city council will allow up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker for each agenda item. Staff reports are available online at the city's website at www.cityofreading.gov or in the public view binder located on the podium at the north side of the chambers. So thank you for that. We will have our Pledge of Allegiance. And Mrs. Audette will be our leader today.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have a new.
Bow our heads, please. Our gracious and loving Father, we are grateful for the privilege of meeting publicly to discuss opportunities to better our community. We thank those in attendance for taking the time to be proactive and helping to make our city a better place to live, work, and relax. April typically signifies the beginning of springtime, a season of renewal and a time when we prepare to welcome travelers to events and recreational activities that we offer. I pray that we, as ambassadors of our city, extend a warm welcome and offer hospitality to our visitors. Bless and protect the men and women who have been called as guardians of our community and nation, those that serve in public safety and in the military. Bless them with your armor of protection and pray that they return home safely at the end of each shift. We thank you for the gift of your Son, and we pray that we honor you by the words we speak and our actions. We praise you and thank you for your provisions. It is in our Father's name we pray. Amen.
Councilmember Audette,
Here.
Danuka,
Present.
Resner,
Present.
Latah,
Here.
and Mayor Munz.
Here. All right, we'll start off with a couple of presentations. Here we go. Week of the Young Child. I'm just going to read the top part and you can say a few words, all right? The proclamation of the Mayor of the City of Redding, California, proclaiming April 4 through 12 of 2025 as Week of the Young Child. So I will let you speak on a few words.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us this wonderful proclamation. It is important that we remember the youngest members of our community and support them and their families during that most important time of their development. We know that brain development happens the most between the ages of 0 and 5. And as a community, if we can rally around that, we will have a better community in the future. So during the Week of the Young Child, which is April 4th through the 12th this year, we will have wonderful events throughout Shasta County, but especially within the city of Redding. And on Friday, we will have an event at the Whistle Stop Park to commemorate the 25th year of First Five Shasta. And there will be face painting, there will be free ice cream for the first 150 people. There will also be some fun music activities for the kids and some story times. So we hope we can see you there. And it's from 4 to 6 this Friday. And then there's wonderful activities throughout. And you'll also see the paper dolls that are hanging in the different community businesses that we have. And those paper dolls were all decorated by children within our, Shasta County. So thank you again for the proclamation.
Thank you. Well done.
Sorry, one more thing. I left some cards back there that you can scan the QR code on for those activities for the week. And then you'll also see these big calendars posted up around the community to also show you what's happening for the week.
Now, Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. A proclamation of the Mayor of the City of Redding, California, proclaiming April 2025 as Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. Awesome. Please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Hill from the Shasta County Arts Council, and I have the pleasure of working with all the arts and culture in our community in the city of Redding and the county of Shasta. And I just wanted to briefly show you what one of the things that we do in our purview, and that is a juried junior high, middle school, junior high, and high school show. And I have one of our middle school teachers. She's going to introduce herself and her student who won Best in Show for a 3D project.
Hi, my name is Cassie Plummer, and I am the middle school and high school among two other teachers at Redding School of the Arts. And this is a piece by Gloria Glanzer. It's probably hard to see from there, but it's a ceramic box. Gloria Glanzer has been at Redding School of the Arts for a while, and she is now in 8th grade, but has advanced to one of our high school courses. And it's just really neat to see a student who thrives in the arts just get completely lost in their work. And be just so encouraged by their peers. And that's just what our school is all about, where the arts and education collide.
Yay. And I wanted to also take an opportunity to show you Alyssa. I don't know if Alyssa's here tonight. Come up here, Alyssa. Alyssa won Best in Show for 2D for the high school, and she goes to UPrep, and this is her beautiful piece of art.
Hi.
Why don't you just show it around to everybody? It is just the most exquisite piece of art. And she's just going to walk it around for everybody to look at, maybe the council as well. I know, I embarrass the visual artists. That's why they're visual, they don't like to talk. I also wanted to mention that we had a young man from UPrep also go to the state competition for Poetry Out Loud. Unfortunately, he didn't place in the winning spot, but his name's Grant I'm going to say it wrong, Copania. And he was such a wonderful participant with our Poetry Out Loud contest. I just wanted to also briefly mention that Shasta County is moving up in the world of arts and culture. This last year, two different organizations, the Otis Report and Americans for the Arts, basically gave us a wonderful piece of statistic. We have raised our arts and culture in the creative economy 27% in 1 year, which means to all of us sitting out here that dollars are going to pay artists, visual artists, performing artists, and those dollars turn back into tax revenue, just so you know. They become a creative economy push. So keep supporting arts and culture in our community because good things are happening in Shasta County. Thank you.
May I ask for a picture with the future Picasso?
Yes. Alyssa, honey,
Would you
can you
please?
show it to the people up here?
We want to have a.
Oh, he
Can you
wants
come
a
up?
picture. That's
I want
a
a picture
great
with
idea.
you for the future Picasso.
Do you want us to come,
Maybe we can come there.
chairs. We'll go to those chairs, where those tables are.
I want a picture with you.
Yes, please.
I hope it looks like you're puckering. Or in the end. Better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, so we have public comment before we have public comment? Is that what this is for? Is that what you're showing me? Okay. Let me just read this real quick. City Council will allocate up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker for 30 minutes total at the beginning of the meeting for public comment for non-agendized matters within the city's jurisdiction. The mayor will determine the order of speakers. If 30 minutes is not adequate to accommodate all of the individuals who have submitted their names, I can't read that, to the city council, will trail this item to the end of the open session agenda. The remaining speakers will address the city council at that time. So we have a few speakers. So Susan Murray will be first, Christina Prosperi, then Jenny.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I may have missed something, or I may be out of touch during these city council meetings, but I have not heard in a very long time in regards to the Reading Rodeo Association at the rodeo grounds. I understand a letter of intent was signed at the end of last year, but I have not heard anything further in regards to where the 25 years lease stands at this time. Is there still an ad hoc meeting? I am probably not the only person to question why the Reading Rodeo Association has not been given something more permanent than having a letter of intent signed. Since Joshua Johnson is no longer on the ad hoc committee, was someone else chosen, or was the ad hoc committee has it been disbanded, and the question of a 25-year lease is going to be kicked down the road again? When will the subject about the rodeo grounds and its lease be put back on the agenda so we can get a permanent 25-year or so lease? There has been such an overwhelming outcry for the Reading Rodeo Association to have a much longer lease, say 25 years or so. When a vote was taken to extend the lease for the Civic Auditorium Advance Reading, it pretty much was a slam dunk. Why shouldn't it be any different with the Reading Rodeo Association that has been here for 77 years? Let's get this done with, instead of kicking it down the road. Thank you.
So we actually put Vice Mayor, there's a title, searching for the title. Vice Mayor Latat is on the ad hoc committee now. So they're negotiating terms, and it's a huge amount of debt that the Rodeo Association has to take on in order to have a long-term lease. So they're working with lawyers to make sure that it's all done properly. So it's all in process.
You want to speak? Mr. Tippett?
Yeah, I thought I'd just give a little more specific update. We actually have agreed to terms. That is in our city attorney's office now for review. The Rodeo Association has agreed to all the terms. We will then submit to them for review from their attorneys, and if all goes well, we may see that on the first meeting in May, but they have not reviewed it in its final formal form, nor has their attorney. So it just takes a while. You're talking about negotiating a very long-term lease, and there's many, many, many items to negotiate, and so that's what we've been doing.
Hi, thank you. I wanted to share some good news. My name is Christina Prosperi, and among some other things, I am the president for the Reading Parks and Trails Foundation. We're an organization that's committed to improving Reading's parks, trails, open spaces, and recreational facilities, including the sports park. And I'm here today to update on an exciting and successful collaboration that's been taking shape in our local sports community. Over the past month, in just 3 events, the City of Reading Community Services Department, we've partnered with Shasta Roller Hockey League, the Reading Slow Pitch Softball League, 643 Athletics, which is youth baseball, to enhance the game day experience by offering our local visiting guests the opportunity to enjoy a cold adult refreshment while supporting our parks and recreation efforts. This initiative has been met with overwhelming positivity, reinforcing the value of community engagement at our local sporting events. In just the last 3 events in March alone, we have raised over $13,000, which means more resources for maintaining and improving our beloved sports park, something that benefits everyone in Reading. The response from the community has been fantastic. Locals have expressed their appreciation for this addition to the recreational experience. Sponsors have started reaching out with interest in supporting future events. And visiting families have really shared their gratitude for the chance to unwind after a long day of travel with a cold drink in hand. And this collaboration has created an environment where we have sports and community and economic support all coming together in a way that really uplifts everybody. I've personally really enjoyed, I've been out there every time, and have really enjoyed talking with everyone. We end each sale with a cheerful, thanks for supporting parks, and everybody gladly replies with 1 or maybe 2 beers in hand, thank you for being here, and everyone's having a great time. So we're excited to continue these efforts and explore new ways to support our parks and recreation spaces for both residents and visitors. And just thank you for your time and support in trusting the city with continuing to run the sports park. We're all having a great time in making this a better place to play and connect and really enjoy the outdoors. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Jenny, and Steve, and then Houston Kalinowski.
Hello, and I guess beautiful council members. Thank you for hearing us today in this meeting. As many of you in this room know, I'm sort of a frequent flyer to these events. I've become a known voice in these parts for silly little 3-minute speeches that sort of come and go. Little do you know, I'm not a big fan of doing these. It appears that my job these days is to show up when local politicians have made a mess of things, to remind people of their duty to hear us and to represent us fully. I love nothing more than to come in and congratulate everyone for their wonderful job they do. Unfortunately, that's not the climate that we live in. Lately, it seems as though there's been one fire after another to put out. So at this moment, right now, I'd like to take a break from that. Today, I'd like to take this moment to thank each and every one of you on the City Council for your leadership and the calm and welcoming environment that you have created here. I find that this is a space where I can meet with those I disagree with in safety and maybe even find common ground with them. For holding this space where dissension doesn't mean dehumanization, I thank you greatly. And I hope that you're able to keep this. And later on when I bother you, I hope you remember this moment too.
You're always welcome. We encourage and welcome the civic engagement.
Thank you. Steve, and then Houston.
Good evening, council, staff, community members. I think most of what I wrote applies to 5.1, so I'll hold most of it until then. But I do have a question as far as the council and how they make their decisions and whether or not or how much they take into account their constituents. Do you feel that you have a responsibility to do what your constituents want, or are you driven by other, ideologies or goals? On tonight's agenda later on, I think something's going to be discussed that the public has made very clear in the way that they feel, and it seems to be just overridden. And so I'd just really like to see at some point you guys weigh in whether you feel that your responsibility is to your constituents or whether you're above that and that your desires and your goals should take priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a Houston here? Apparently so.
Hi there. I'm glad to go after Steve, and we're pretty much on the same, I think, mindset right now. My name's Houston Kalinowski, born and raised here in the city of Reading. I'm here to discuss our financial situation a $157 million salary expenditure, and a $5 million deficit. Mind you, that is 3.18% of our salary expenditure, 5 million, okay? I implore everybody to go to transparentcalifornia.com. Mind you, these numbers are from 2023, okay? So I wouldn't be surprised to see an increase since. And I've actually just recently learned that we have a new city attorney since Barry DeWalt retired, and that is Christian Curtis here. So we'll start with Barry DeWalt in 2023, and I'm guessing Christian is close to the same ballpark. Took home over $352,000 in total. If you include benefits and pension, add another $130,000 a year to that. Just 17,000 shy, mind you, of $500,000. I do not have the new attorney's salary on hand, but I am guessing it's in the same ballpark. Now, our taxes seem to be fond of people named Barry, because Barry Tippin, hi Barry, our city manager, you took home in 2023 a total pay of $305,000 in 24, actually, $324,000, right? With benefits and pension, add another 50% of your income to that, looking at a whopping $458,532. That's a whole lot of money, Barry. Let's start close to home by comparing this to our neighbors in Chico with a population of 107,000 versus our 92. Their city manager, Mark Sorensen, took home a total pay of $213,000 with pension and benefits, $340,000 in 2023, meaning we paid $120,000 more for Barry and Redding than Chico paid for Mark. Why? We're not done here either. Vallejo, population of 125,000. Familiar with Six Flags? Probably a lot of revenue there, I'm guessing, right? Well, Barry took in 2023 $33,000 more than their city manager. Why, Barry? Oceanside, California, population of 170,000. Double ours almost. Barry, you made 40,000 more that year. Santa Rosa, 175,000. Barry made 54,000. Modesto, 220,000. Barry made 42,000 more. Chula Vista, the second most populous city in San Diego metropolitan area, 275,000 people. You made $76,000 more than their city manager that year. Why, Barry? Why? What have you done? Please show us here. Let us all remind everybody as well. The President of the United States base salary is $400,000. You're doing more for the city of Reading than the President of the United States for this country.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I'd love to see it. Please, show us. Good job.
All right. Let's move on. Consent calendar. Consent calendar contains items considered routine and/or which have been individually. Mr. Tippin, did you want to say anything? I didn't think so, but are anticipated to require no further deliberation. If a member of the public wishes to address an item on the consent calendar, please, I can't read that. Please fill out a speaker at the kiosk. The prerogative of any council member before the consent calendar is acted upon to comment on an item, respond to any public comment on an item, request the record reflect an abstention or a nay vote on an item, 4, remove an item or place it on the regular portion of the agenda for the delivery of a staff report and our extended discussion deliberation. All right. Anybody want to? Oh. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to explain to the audience because it appears like that Jack can read. He just has notes written down and now he can't read his own handwriting. We have new fancy. Oh, the girl, okay. No one to blame here. But we have new fancy buttons up here and there's new ways in which to fill out speaker cards. So I just want to say, please forgive us if we fumble through it. It's our first time using the new system and pushing our request of a button to speak. So we don't speak over each other. So I would like to make a motion to approve consent calendar.
Okay, we have, yep, I got it. We'll take them and then we'll go to the calendar. So on 4.1A, amendment regarding proclamation declaring local eligibility due to flooding and pursuant to public code. So Denise, I, and then Sean Connor.
Thank you, council, for hearing me. I have sent a letter to you guys regarding my flooding of my house and the loss of my property. And on my calendar, I just got notified today that you guys will not send any money or support anything. I'm kind of emotional because I have lost my husband in the suit of all this that has happened. So I have not just lost my home from the water damage, from you guys not fixing my culvert, and asked her several times of calling you guys and asking you to please fix the culvert so that the water flows out of my property. You guys have not done nothing to do it. For the last 3 years, I've watched it. I have lived there for over 20 years, and we have never seen flooding come through the house like we did. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. This has been a lot. Today, I'm here today for more help due to my home, and 3 others have flooded on February 4th. I've lost 60% of all my personal belongings, and I cannot occupy it as it is drying out. These culverts in front of my house in the city of Reading, I lived here for 20 years. I have never been flooded. I'm asking different employees from the cities to clean out the areas. The culvert desperately needs to be addressed. I've requested the help. I was told by the city, and I'm still waiting for a response. We are waiting in April. I know on February 5th, the county declared a state of emergencies, and I would like to request and review the inner fractions of the waterways that is now water removed around my property and others around me. So this does not happen again, and I do need more help to build my home back up. That's all I got.
Do you live in the city?
Yes, I do. I'm actually in the county, but from what I've understood, you guys have bought city rights from the city, or from the county on my culvert. I went on that date when the water started coming in, and I asked, please, can you guys help me? And the city, and the county said that it's not the city's responsibility. It's the city's responsibility. I have called, I have talked to you guys, water management groups. And they said, yes, that we are responsible for the water and the culvert in your area, but supposedly the water damage is from another private property.
Okay.
Allowing another company to.
Just stick around afterwards and I'll get your phone number. Okay? All right, Sean.
Good evening, council. My name is Sean Connor. I'm in the same situation as Denise, as are many other neighbors that live on our street. It got flooded to where there was standing water, 8 inches of water in the home, throughout the home. Lost many items, and not to mention the cost of repairs is going to be really expensive. We haven't even received all of the assessments back yet, and I'm already looking at $60,000 in repairs. And I'm on a fixed income. I'm a disabled veteran, 100% disabled, Afghanistan, and I can't afford anything other than what insurance can provide. And that was another issue. We don't even live in a flood zone, and it flooded. So had we known, we would have gotten flood insurance. So I ask, to help the neighbors on the street and survey that culvert system through there, because it was clogged, but it's obviously insufficient, and it does need to be, re-engineered, restructured to current specs so that this doesn't happen again. And that's brings another issue that even if we do rebuild, what if it floods again? Then we're gonna have to deal with this issue. And it's not gonna go away unless something gets done.
Well, again, just stick around afterwards. I'll chat with you briefly.
Thank you.
So there we have that. All right, we have a first for the consent agenda. We have a second? Second. And all in favor? Aye. Aye. Paul? Are we voting, huh?
Aren't you voting on this?
Yes. Sorry.
We have 3 minutes.
All right, there we go.
I'm good it didn't vote for us.
It's kind of fun. All right, so then we're on to item 5.1. Now, meeting management, 5.1. I know we have some speakers. How do I find them up here? Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, same people. Okay. All right, 5.1, consider mayor's appointments to the city, the Reading Planning Commission. So we have some speakers. Susan Murray, Steve Cohn are up, and then Jenny. That's a little bit different.
Again, thank you very much for letting me speak tonight. Why isn't Aaron Hatch or Brandy Green, those whose terms as planning commissioners that run out in April 30th, not being considered for a position to sit as planning commissioners for a second term? Is there some kind of a bias that is in place against them, especially Mr. Hatch? I am not sure about Ms. Green, but Mr. Hatch has voiced that he would like to stay on as planning commissioner. Last May, I believe it was, there was an unsuccessful attempt to remove Mr. Hatch from his position as planning commissioner. There was an overwhelming positive community response to support for Mr. Hatch to continue as planning commissioner, and he was able to stay on. In a very short time period, we have some very much anticipated decisions that need to be made of the riverfront specific plan, etc. Both Ms. Green and Mr. Hatch seem to me, when I have attended the meetings, to be very well informed, ask tough questions, and raise reasonable concerns before making a decision. I believe it would be benefit to the people of the city of Reading that Ms. Green and Mr. Hatch serve another term as planning commissioner due to their experience and in-depth insight. I feel it is a mistake to replace Ms. Green and Mr. Hatch. These two commissioners have been very involved with the riverfront specific plan, and the garden track is in the middle of it all. So please reconsider your appointment and appoint Mr. Green and Mr. Hatch for their second term. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve, you're up, and then Jenny, and then Benjamin Nalwayne.
Hello again. Mayor Munns. 11 months ago, the public made it very clear that they liked having Aaron Hatch on the Planning Commission. This was when Tanessa Adet attempted to remove him from the Planning Commission. There was overwhelming support demonstrated in this very room. I think more than I have seen for just about anything. And yet, you're thumbing your nose at the will of the people by attempting to replace him. Do you even care what people think or what they want? Do what your constituents want to do is supposed to be your job. What they want you to do is supposed to be your job. That's why they elected you, to carry out the people's will, not to do whatever Tanessa Adet wants, which is apparently what you've been doing. Each individual council member is supposed to have only one vote, but it seems to me that Tanessa has 2 votes with you sitting there. It looks to me like the only way that we're going to reduce her voting power is if we recall you. I mean, I don't see any other way around it because I watched you from the beginning and your votes align with what she wishes 100% as far as I can tell. On top of that, you want to appoint Joshua Johnson to the Planning Commission when the people made it clear they don't want him making major decisions for the city of Reading. That's why they didn't vote for him to be on the city council. It's clear to me they don't believe in his decision-making or the path that he wants to put our city on or the way the city should be developed. You're bypassing the will of the people. The people have spoken and you're overriding them. It's simply wrong. And so to the other council members, I'd just like to appeal to you to make a rational decision on the very capable people that are apparently being replaced here for people with an ideology that aligns, I believe, with Bethel Church. I don't care what people belong to as far as churches, other than when they start significantly impacting decisions on the city because they have the majority. And so I just urge you guys to be cautious and think about what's going on and pick talented, skilled people to remain on the Planning Commission and not to bow to the will of an ideology that's not in line with the people's will. Thank you.
Jenny, and then Benjamin Noane, and then Brandy.
Good evening again, beautiful city council members. I'm afraid my kind moments and words of praise are over, so sorry. I'm currently suffering from deja vu because I think we've already held this discussion before. If I remember correctly, the population of the city of Reading overwhelmingly showed up for Aaron Hatch to speak nothing but kind words of what a wonderful job he does, about how he takes his time off to consistently imagine how much better the city can be. I don't understand how you could possibly ask for a better, more loyal, more dedicated man to do his job. And if I remember correctly, I think this is volunteer-based, so that's even crazier. As of late, it appears that our local politicians favor their friends or favors over experienced, loyal public servants. And it's a disturbing and upsetting trend that I've been fighting over and over and over again. The community has already come forward to fight for Aaron Hatch. Please listen to your constituents, and please keep him. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Benjamin, and then Brandy Green.
Good evening, council members. I'm here tonight to speak in support of reappointing Aaron Hatch and Brandy Green to the Planning Commission. Both commissioners went through the proper process to request reappointment. Neither have been accused of misconduct or poor performance. In fact, they've consistently been prepared, professional, and engaged, especially Aaron, who has earned a reputation for doing his homework and asking the hard but necessary questions. Unfortunately, it seems that asking the right questions has become a political liability rather than a civic virtue. When commissioners challenge assumptions or offer perspectives that don't align with a predetermined narrative, it appears they're punished, not because they've done something wrong, because they've done their jobs too well. I'd also like to ask, how many people in this community have contacted you about this decision? How many emails have you received supporting Aaron or Brandy? From what I saw last time, the response is likely overwhelming. The public has already spoken, not out of partisanship, but out of a genuine concern for transparency, fairness, and the balance on the commission. Aaron sent an email last week saying not to rally support, but he did wish to stay on the commission. But he did share a serious concern that with these proposed changes, 5 of the 7 commissioners will have professional ties to real estate and development. That's not balanced. That's not reflective of a community as diverse as Reading. And at a time when we're facing critical decisions, climate adaptation, wildfire risk, riverfront development, and long-delayed priorities like the tree ordinance, we need more voices on the table, not fewer. It is, of course, your prerogative to make these appointments. No one disputes that. But with that prerogative comes responsibility to make choices that reflect the full interest of the community, not the interests of a few. Reappointing Aaron and Brandy isn't just about preserving the status quo. It's about preserving thoughtful, independent public service in a time when trust in government is fragile. These people have already shown they're willing to do the work, take the heat, and serve with integrity. If your goal is good governance, not just alignment, then the choice is clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Brandy?
Hello, everyone. My name is Brandy Green. I am an environmental scientist, I'm a grape farmer, and I'm an outgoing planning commissioner for the city of Reading. Mayor Munns, thank you for your phone call. Tonight, I am here to ask you and the city councilors to reevaluate, not to beg you for my position to be reappointed. I let you know that I was interested. You've chosen otherwise. But to stand and say that Development and real estate is already widely and majority represented on our Planning Commission. There are other voices that need to be heard. When you ask someone who lives in Reading why they enjoy living here, one of the first things you will hear is that the outdoors and outdoor recreation is a priority for them. We need people on the Planning Commission and throughout other commissions who represent that arena. Currently, all we will have on our Planning Commission is developers and real estate agents, and we need more. We need a wider breadth of experience and a larger voice on our Planning Commission. Please reconsider your appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody want discussion? Go ahead.
I didn't know, sorry, I didn't know whether or not.
Mayor Pro Tem Resner.
Sorry, I was pausing because I wasn't sure whether or not there were any other speakers. I am not sure that in my time sitting on council that there has been as many really heated discussions. Usually appointing people to commissions prior to the last 2 years has been a rather boring situation. Sometimes there has historically been times way in the past when we were asking and telling people, hey, you should apply for this commission because we really could use someone who, sat on planning because especially in planning because you're reading a lot of documents and it is not quite as much fun as when you get to sit on community services and you get to discuss things like parks and trails and kids and things that our community really loves. I was asked this week whether or not my opposition to these appointments had to do with that I was mayor during the time that Aaron and Brandy were appointed. And it actually hadn't even come into my thought or into my brain. The reason why it is that I'm opposed to these appointments purely has to actually do with some of the things that the speakers said. I think that a good, effective board who does a good job of planning what it will look like in 10 years, in 20 years, comes from when we have a variety of voices at the table. Some of those who I, in my regular life, disagree with on a regular basis, but when we operate in a silo, we only hear our own voices and and we hear the things that we want to hear rather than someone else giving us a different perspective. And I think that it is our job as members of the council to make sure that when we appoint people to commissions that, one, they're good human beings and that they care about our community, which I think that all of these people fill that box, but also that they represent the balance of our community so that everybody's voice can be heard. Because ultimately, commissions don't have voting power, they make recommendations. And the five of us up here get to say thumbs up, thumbs down most of the time to their recommendations. But it is really important, in my opinion, that there is a balance of voices at the table. And because of that, I will not be voting to support these appointments.
Is that it? Councilmember Danuka? Go ahead. You were on the list.
First, right?
No?
Okay. So, in my opinion, whenever there is a controversial issue, we need to go back to our basic values and principles. So it's not about who do we appoint. The question is, why do we appoint someone or not other, and how do we appoint? So why and how are more important than who. And we need to decide based on not this, is it Joshua Johnson or Aaron Hatch or Brandy Green or Blake? What we need to decide is why we're appointing. So the primary interest is what is good for the city? What's good for our city? And that requires some experience, which 2 terms can bring, which Brandy and Aaron have, the second term. That experience can be valuable. Also, the diversity of background and opinion and perspective, even if we may or may not agree with that, is valuable. But right now, we have even more important value is uniting our community. We need to heal the fractures in our community rather than increase them, which has happened over the last few years, and that was further worsened what happened during the Aaron Hatch attempted removal from the position. In order for those 3 things, I would recommend that we continue those 2 who have already served and have expressed a desire of serving. Furthermore, I would also ask you to consider the fairness in this process. The golden rule applies here. How would we want to be treated? Short of a serious misconduct, we need to respect somebody who wants to continue for second term rather than unceremoniously showing them the door. So for that reason, I would urge Honorable Mayor to reconsider his appointments and reconsider those 2 who have expressed interest to continue serving for 1 more term each. And to the new applicants, I would say that you are great people. I have met some of them. Actually, I do not even know the current commissioners very well. You're great people, and I would love to appoint you in the future. But for the sake of healing our community and the reasons I stated, I would recommend and appeal to the mayor to reconsider his decision.
Thank you. You want to go? Mike, Vice Mayor Lata.
I came here with an open mind, but because we don't get a chance to really talk at all, as before coming to council, I was really interested just to hear your thoughts as far as what went into the thoughts of the appointments, and
I will give them.
that was definitely going to help me. So I'd like to hear from you.
Yep.
So I'm not going to relitigate the whole thing. I don't know. Obviously I know Josh, and I don't know Blake. I read through his bio. I don't have any issue with either of your picks. I don't know Blake, but I can tell why you picked him. I could see his background and things that I think values that you have and that are reflective in your pick. I can just tell you that when I was the mayor and picking, because that's really what this is. Each mayor is going to pick. You pick your own diversity of people. You'll pick your own diversity of people. Erin will pick her people, and nobody in the past I went back and watched many of these. Nobody objects because it is the prerogative of the mayor. So this whole, I think, insanely disrespectful, trying to grab it and make it this big issue. You can watch time after time. People do 4 years and then another group comes in. It happens almost every single time. Very rarely do you have somebody do a back-to-back. Not because there's anything wrong with the people that are finishing up. It's because when you're elected and when this group decides you're going to come in, then you're picking based on what your values are and what you believe is important, which obviously the constituents care about because they voted for you. And so obviously they trust your judgment, and these are volunteer positions. It's a 4-year gig. You go there to learn. We're all up here without experience being city council members, and we're expected to come in and to learn. And the more people that actually go on committees, more people that get onto planning commission, it actually just makes the entire process stronger. It makes the city stronger. It's a totally different look when you have different people coming. The continuity of that group is 5 people stay, 2 people are switching out every 2 years, and this has worked this way for forever. And so the idea that we're going to heal because we keep somebody, even though nobody else keeps the previous people, this actually turns over year upon year. No insult to the people that have volunteered. I think it's an amazing opportunity. We constantly at Leadership Reading and in many different ways have asked our Rotary friends. We ask our Leadership Reading friends. I'm sure in all of those citizen academies, we're telling people just get more involved, learn the process, come and be a part of this. If you care about growth in the city or you don't want things to grow too much in the city, get involved in the Planning Commission, learn things. And so I can see by, obviously we know Josh Johnson deeply wants to affect what our city looks like, wants to serve and serves in many capacities. So the strengths that he brings, that's obvious. This new person who I don't know Blake, but I think it's amazing that you've found somebody that actually wants to serve and be a part of it. And I actually think what brings healing is that we don't disrupt and interrupt and say, no, you have to do it this way, because these are our friends and because we want them to serve again another 4 years. It's the mayor's decision, and I think it's incredibly disruptive. He doesn't actually have to take our advice on this one. We just have to say, are they serial killers? Are they going to come and destroy the city? No. Okay, great. Thank you so much for doing the work to find them. I don't think there has to be anything negative to the people that are done, and I think it's a super disservice to them to act as such. They served, they gave their time. It's a lot of time. I've seen great growth over the last 4 years, so I thank you for everybody that's on the Planning Commission that has served, because I think we've grown smart. I think we've done some great things as the projects that have been approved, and I think there's more to come. So thank you for finding them, and I will obviously approve.
Thank you. Councilmember Danuka?
I will let you speak
Go ahead.
after that.
I'll speak last.
Well, with all due respect, Ms. Audette, you use certain words which were, I will just take those in stride, like insane and disrespectful. I'll just take this in stride. So I'll just thank you for your opinions. Having said that, I want to clarify that I mean no disrespect to the Honorable Mayor. I respect him completely. I'm just expressing my opinion because, as I said earlier, the question is not who, the question is how we do it. And
This is how we do it.
May I? So what we do here reflects not just on our decision-making, but how we carry ourselves. Are we listening to our constituents? How are we treating each other on the dais? What the culture we set is the culture which becomes the culture of our city. And it's imperative on us to carry each other with that grace. And that's the process I'm talking about. Had there not been an issue which became so controversial and fracturing our community last year, that one of the commissioners was forced to defend himself when he was just short by few months finishing his term. Had that not been the case, my opinion would have been probably different, and I would have completely deferred without speaking a word. But having seen that, it's very important for us to heal this culture. Just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should be doing it. And that's why I want to make sure that we set that culture. And that's why it means there's no disrespect to the mayor. I'm trying to set a new system, new culture of process here.
Well, I
Thank
will
you.
just respond. I'll just respond.
I'm just saying thank you.
Yeah.
So
well,
now you can say.
I will respond to that and say that the fact is that last year there was nothing but disrespect on this council. With every process that was happening, there was a disruption to that and disrespect to the process. And to me, this is a continuance of that. And if you want to heal it, then we're going to need to respect the process. And the process is that the mayor gets to decide. And just the same way that Brandy and Aaron came on and took 2 people off, they actually replaced people that also wanted to continue.
That's not true.
Aaron didn't replace somebody that wanted to continue?
No, you just said the 2 of them replaced someone who wanted
I
to
misspoke.
continue.
Aaron did. Brandy replaced somebody that had to leave. The point is that for me, everybody, no matter what it comes through, they all want to continue. and they all replaced somebody that would have been happy to continue. So that actually is the process, and this is not the process. This is actually a totally different way of doing things and to challenge the mayor, which started last year and it's continuing. And this grand conspiracy that Bethel has anything to do with what we do up here just continues on. And when you have the commenters saying that, so to honor this faction of, oh, I would love for him to vote with me all the time, and you all are up here and you know that that does not happen. You know that that does not happen. And so the fact is that that this process is that the mayor decides, and if we have an objection because there's something wrong with a candidate, we owe it to the community to raise that objection. But when there isn't an issue with the next candidate, it's just respectful to let the mayor decide. And so this is nothing, everything that you're saying I agree with, everything. But what I disagree with is the fact that what you're doing is a disruption to actually how it works.
Councilmember Resner.
I didn't tell him who it is that who the mayor, has to choose. I merely said what really I don't think is a wise idea is to have 6 members of a commission who all work and financially benefit from one specific industry, because I don't think that one industry makes up the balance of our community. Also, to be completely honest, and this doesn't routinely matter to me because I do not care where it is that somebody attends church, Joshua Johnson is the first person who Mayor Munns has put forward who hasn't had something like pastor in their bio. Mr. Nance does not have that, but I am shocked, and I would love to push you on whether or not you have ever met Mr. Nance.
I have no idea who Mr. Nance, if he walked in here right now, I wouldn't even know who he is. Are you serious?
Also, did you not
Are you seriously
Did you not publicly say last year that during the Aaron Hatch situation, which by the way, just for clarity and for the record, I did not say who it is that the mayor has to pick and that my issue is the balance. But did you not publicly say, because there are multiple members, I believe, in the audience as well as here, that Aaron Hatch, if you had your way, would never sit on planning commission ever again?
No, I never said that. I didn't have to say that. The question that was at hand last year was the comments that he said, and I said, I think that there should be a response to that, and there should be something that we do. No, I never said that.
Oh.
Okay. Not only did I not say that, I have no idea who this guy Blake is, I've never met him.
Councilmember Danuka.
Oh, with all due respect, Council Member Audette, you have said that to me personally, that Aaron Hatch would never sit on the.
I've never talked to you about Aaron Hatch.
Okay, that's all right.
I have never talked to you about Aaron Hatch.
That's all right. That's okay. It's okay. That's fine. Sorry.
Where were we? When did that happen?
That's fine. That's fine.
When did that ever happen, Paul?
I said just with all due respect, maybe you do not remember it. That is fine, and it's completely all right. But I'll move on from there. So I just want to say again that I am very sorry for what has been happening last few years, particularly, let's be frank about it, talking about a specific church. That should not have happened, and I would encourage the public speakers to actually not target or point fingers at any particular person or any particular church. I go to a different church, but there are wonderful people in every church, and I would encourage people not to go after any single church. And on behalf of all the people, I am sincerely sorry to see that happen over the last few years with you, and you should not be facing that. And I would definitely, if someone does that, I would discourage that. And I will stand with you on that. Having said that, just last thing I want to say, and I will settle my case, is, again, it's just my suggestion to the mayor with full respect. I also have a suggestion, which I have already said, that if those 2 current nominees withdraw their nomination in good faith, I will be happy to appoint them when I'm in the mayor position.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, here we go. Josh Johnson, I didn't consider that he was a developer much. I consider that we have 4 or 5 months with him on the council. He asked very good questions. He was very interested in what we were doing. He dug in.
He sat here, that's why you're pointing in
Yeah,
this direction.
he dug into things very deep. He didn't just take things at a surface level. And I so appreciated all the questions that he asked, all the things that he did while he was up here. And he sat on the planning commission. He knows what it takes. He's been there, he's done it, and he did a good job. So that's that. I think he's very well qualified. Aaron, I've met with Aaron. I like Aaron. I never met with Brandy. She seems like a very nice person. But this position is an open position. There's no rhyme or reason that they need to be reappointed again. And I selected Blake. Blake is, I don't know, he's one of a kind in my opinion. He has clients that he has, Dick Clark. And he does all the productions for Dick Clark. Massive productions, massive planning. That take months. These aren't just weeks or days, they're months to plan out. One of the things he does is does permitting and roads development. One of the things we're worried about in the Peak subdivision is where are access roads. He has experience with these access roads, developed them, worked through them. He has massive experience. He's seen the successes of planning, and he was, if you read his bio, he was in, you ever seen the movie Black Hawk Down? He was there. He was on the roof of the embassy. He was a sniper and was defending our country, and he saw the failures of planning. How does this army that's ragtag take on the Delta Force and beat them up? And he saw the failures. He knows. He understands planning. He has a master's degree in policy. I think he's a great person. I have nothing against Aaron. I like Aaron, and I don't know Brandy. I talked to her very briefly. She was very nice. But I am solidly in the corner of Josh Johnson and Blake Nance, and I am recommending him, nominate him today. So, Vice Mayor Lata.
Thank you for answering those questions. It's definitely uncomfortable. Just looking at the circumstances, this is a very important commission. They make very important decisions that help shape the future of Reading. So I don't take this commission very lightly. I think about the perspective of diversity on the commission as far as how decisions get made. We need the influence of people from all perspective. And one thing we heard earlier is, are we listening to our constituents? And that is important to me. We've heard from a lot of people. We've heard from speakers today. We heard from people that supported Mr. Hatch last summer as well, overwhelmingly, and there were many more people that came last year. And so all that stuff comes into factor. The thing I'm uncomfortable with, I don't like my vote feeling the perspective of a very political nature, which means what happened last summer still feels very fresh. And it's very customary to approve everything what the mayor would bring to the table. I mean, these should be really, really easy decisions for us. And I would think in the future, if I ever become the mayor and I have people I would like to nominate, I would think that would be very customary, and I would do my due diligence, my research, and the names I put forward would be very good people to serve. I look at the people that you've nominated. I have no disrespect for him. I think Josh Johnson would be a great person. I've talked to him a lot. He has great perspective. He asks good questions. He reads all the papers. He's very well prepared. The other person that you've nominated brings another form of diversity again. He's not a realtor, not a developer. So, there's a lot of merit to the other name that you've proposed there. We have very important issues coming this summer with the Riverfront project, the Peaks development. Some of the stuff our current commission has been working on very hard over the past. And I also think about veteran leadership with the upcoming items this summer, as we want to make good decisions. Having good veteran leadership, good veterans that can serve on that commission, to me is also really, really important. But in the end, I like all the options. I think we've got good people, and again, this is the mayor's choice that we really want to support. But I don't want my vote to be political in nature. I would offer an idea, a counter, and just see if you would consider this. as I just think through everything. I want to respect the constituents, what the people in Reading are telling us. I want to be able to honor yours as well, but I want to ask to see if you might consider picking one of your appointments and allowing one of the former commissioners to continue. And maybe we would be able to find consensus within the council here and the constituents to find common ground. Maybe that would be a good compromise to give good diversity to the commission for the future. And maybe that's an option we would give, but I'm swaying to vote no on this, but I do want to respect the constituents. I want to respect the process. I want to respect, everything that you thought, but I don't want my vote to be political.
Well, let's talk just briefly about last time. We got about 25 emails. I mean, you read them. Last time we got well over 100. So it was massive back then. It's drastically reduced now. Last time we had, I don't know how many, 30, 40, 50 speakers. We have 5. So things have greatly reduced. This is not a plan where they have to be, and I'm not going to rescind my picks. These are the guys I think are well qualified. Just about every commissioner who comes on replaces somebody, and Aaron had no experience in planning when he came on. I think Brandy had a little bit, is what I'm told. And that's the nature of the business. The 2 that I have appointed have experience in planning. So what the constituents want, are we going to vote because we have 25 people? Or I could go out easily find, 2,000 or 3,000 to support them or more. So we're going to let 25 people make our choice for us? So I think it's not nearly what it was before. And I voted to keep Aaron last time. But this time, it's different. And I think these other guys are very well qualified, and I'm standing up for them.
Yeah, and again, just to add to that, again, I just want to reiterate, I think the 2 that you nominated are very well qualified, and I think the 2 prior planning commissioners are very well qualified as well. So I mean, we do have excellent options, but again, it just feels very political in nature to do it on this timing, and I'm uncomfortable with that.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm not going to digress. Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to call for a vote.
You need a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion as you have requested.
I'll second. And now we can vote. Well, I'm voting yes. Is that what you want to know?
Just say all.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Oppose? Oppose?
I'll abstain.
Okay. So we tie. What does that mean?
It fails.
Yeah, that means there's no action.
Okay. All right.
So you'll have 2 vacancies?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll work with the mayor, and presumably there'll be 2 additional appointments recommended to the council at the next meeting.
Can we go person by person?
In terms of what the
yeah.
vote was?
Yeah.
Are you asking for a roll call vote, or are you asking
I'm asking,
to have
okay.
votes on individual appointees?
On the individuals.
You can make a motion to that effect.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we go person by person. We'll start with Josh and vote for him, and then we'll start again for Blake and vote for him.
Yeah, I would suggest making those as 2 separate motions.
Yes, correct. Okay. All right. Do we need a nominator, or we just vote on them?
No, you need a motion and a second for each.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion for Josh Johnson to be on the planning.
Okay.
To approve your selection of Josh Johnson for the
All
planning
right.
commission.
I will second it. Again, we say all in favor of that one? Aye?
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute.
Can I ask a question? So,
Yeah.
before we vote, what's the purpose of this? I mean,
Will we vote in both off, or we vote in just one off, or?
I think the perspective of what you're hearing is we're uncomfortable with both of your choices as a whole, at least from my perspective. I would be comfortable with one, but I would rather come back to the next council meeting with another set of recommendations, whether it be Josh and, a former commissioner. And that'd be my preference. So I would be inclined to
You
vote
don't get a
no.
choice.
If we're going to do a vote on both of them, I'll be not voting in support
If
as
they
I'd
don't
rather see
approve
two.
it, just
Yeah,
say
you
that.
don't, you don't get a choice.
Just
Yeah.
as far as order
You
of
just- they say
operations, there's a
empty.
motion and a second, and there was a call for vote. So
Okay.
I'd recommend all the council members vote.
am I doing this thing?
So for a point of,
Topic
clarity,
in the middle.
if we don't agree, they just stay, there's just a vacancy on the.
That's correct.
On the
Yeah, until we
planning
get to the next
commission.
one, yeah.
Yeah,
Can I,
they don't
So
stay.
do I
we
have,
You just have
I
vacancies.
Just so we can finish this one, you still need to vote Vice Chair Latah.
but before we do that, I want to make an alternate motion.
You don't get.
Well, you already made that, the motion has already been made.
That
and-
one's done.
And that one's finished, so now you may make another motion if you
All
wish.
right.
You can make one now.
Okay, so this one is final, right? This is a tie. Sorry, I will make a motion to request.
You
Let me make, let
Nominate
me,
or not nominate, that's all you get to choose.
no, I can make a motion I want, and it can be seconded or not.
You cannot make a motion.
Why can he not make a motion?
The only motion we vote for is for,
We already
No,
voted.
that's already done.
Is who he's.
That's already done.
well, Paul's, or Josh is done, now we're making a motion for Blake.
That's fine, we can go ahead. You can carry on with that.
Make the motion to approve Blake.
All right. All right, I second it. Now we vote on that one.
Can you please verbalize? All those in
Okay, yeah.
favor?
I vote yes. All
No,
in favor?
no, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
All those in favor? And
Yeah.
then-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're,
Hit abstain. Yeah.
okay, all right, there we go. All right, now what?
So
It would be so much
clear.
more fun. Oh, they are putting it up.
Yeah, clearly we have reached an impasse. My motion is to request the mayor to come up with other nominations for the future consideration.
Well, that's already going to happen, yeah. You don't need to nominate.
Right, but I'm just making a motion that we request the mayor to reappoint Aaron Hatch and Brandy Green.
I'll take that into consideration.
So that's my motion, and I just want to see if I have a second.
No,
It doesn't work.
it doesn't matter, it doesn't work that way.
He
You don't
said-
get to make a motion
yeah.
for that.
It's his
I
appointment.
get the
And
point.
I know it's your appointment. I'm just asking about my motion to.
Make that motion.
Can-
My recommendation would you can just request that the mayor bring back those individuals, since the ordinance is very explicit
Right.
that it's the mayor's appointment.
Right, absolutely.
Council ratification.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that I'm asking the mayor to reappoint those two people.
Correct.
And I just want to know if,
I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do.
no, you don't have to. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to
I'm bringing
honor
back the
it.
same two people.
That is absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm just asking that if I make that motion, would I have a support of any other council member?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't matter.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I
Doesn't work
think
that
what's
way.
being asked for is effectively a straw poll of the council. Within your discretion, you could request that each of the members indicate their position.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And you're absolutely right. Mayor doesn't have to honor that. I'm just asking, because here's the thing. Because the Brown Act, this is not a conversation I can have outside the public meeting. And that's why I'm asking that do I have a support from other council members for that or not?
Yeah, I think that, from my perspective, that causes confusion as well as starts verging on, taking a vote that doesn't exist and it's
Yeah.
non-binding in the future. So my recommendation, Mr. Mayor, is that we
We
close
close
this
it and
item and
move on.
move on to the next one.
Yep, we're moving on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right, regular calendar report, communication. Assistant City Manager, consider Shasta Community Health Center encampment emergency shelter service contract. Nicole Smith.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council. Item 9.2A this evening is in regard to the request to extend the contract with Shasta Community Health Center for the operation of an interim shelter program. In November of 2024, the city terminated a contract with a different nonprofit provider that provided interim shelter services for clients coming out of the Linden Mercy Canyon as well as Progress Technology Way. The contract was funded with Encampment 3L funds. After the termination of that contract, to quickly triage these individuals, staff entered into an agreement with Shasta Community Health Center to work with the Good News Rescue Mission case management staff, as well as other local providers, to reshelter the participants at that location. The original contract was for $60,000 with an end date of March 31st. Shortly thereafter, council approved an increase to that budget to $165,000. At the time of triage, there were 67 people at that particular hotel. 14 of those refused all services. 6 began working with Shasta Community Health and Human Services Agency and their housing programs, and 2 moved immediately into permanent housing. This left 45 clients that were resheltered at another location. Since that time, 16 encampment persons are still in the hotel that is currently being paid by this agreement. 4 went to the Good News Rescue Mission. 9 moved into another motel program with short-term hospitalization. Another 4 moved into another hotel and were self-paying for those rooms. 2 are at the Good News Rescue Mission Micro Shelter Project. 5 moved into transitional housing, and 5 left the program altogether. Staff is requesting a second amendment to the existing contract with Shasta Community Health Center to increase the total budget to $365,000 with an end date of August 2025. This concludes my presentation. I am available for any questions.
Any questions? Any?
How many months is this gonna go till? Will this?
Till August.
Till August?
Yeah.
And then what is the plan after August?
Well, the plan is between now and August to transition these folks into other shelter or housing situations.
And we're just gonna move away from hotels?
We will be coming back to City Council with a plan as far as how much, if we want to continue to pursue interim shelter or to pursue maybe putting those funds into permanent housing
Okay,
at a later date.
okay. Is anybody here from Shasta?
I don't believe so.
Community Health? No? Okay. Well, tell them thank you for taking this on. I know this was last minute, and I appreciate that they're continuing that.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Rizzo?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to make it noted that this increase will not impact the general fund or other housing division
That is correct.
activities. Thank you very much. And I'll also make a motion to authorize and approve. As
Fine, I'll second it.
All right, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Barner. Police Department update on crime stats. Wearing your tie and everything.
Got dressed up tonight for you. Mayor Munns and fellow council members, thank you for having me tonight. I will start off by, I can't take credit for the slideshow and the lights going on to wake everybody up, but that's Kristen Gurley. She's sitting in the 4th row there. Raise your hand, Kristen. Kristen is our crime analysis, so she is the one that is responsible for all of our statistics and putting together all the work that our great men and women of the Reading Police Department are out doing and sharing that with the public and also providing the information for our officers to be more effective out in the field. So I'm here tonight to discuss our crime stats for the city of Reading. I think this came about by Councilmember Danuka after the Board of Supervisors Public Safety meeting that we had. I presented at both sessions, and a lot of that information was the statistics of the Reading Police Department, and members of council were either present at that meeting or watching online and felt it'd be valuable to bring that back to the public and to the council. So we'll start with our 2024 year-end review and the work that was done by, again, the Reading Police Department. So the Reading Police Department in 2024 responded to 109,000 calls for service. That was a 6.6% increase over the year prior, an incredible amount of work being done. Arrests, so this is a new record for arrests, something that we don't want to do, but it just shows that we have a very proactive police department that are out there doing what the community wants, which is being police officers and taking people to jail that need to be taken to jail. So out of that 11,251, 2,025 of those are felony. So that's about consistent with 2023, very little increase. The large increase that we saw was the 9,215 misdemeanor arrests. So that was a lot of the quality of life issues that we focused on in 2024. So that was a 32% increase in arrests over 2023. Bookings, again, this is when we actually take somebody physically to the jail and book them in. So we had 3,851. Again, that is just a very slight increase over the year prior, just about 1%. So pretty consistent there. Reports taken, 21,000 reports taken by our men and women at the police department, a 5.3% actual decrease from the year prior. And I credit that to our records management system that we have. Citations, we saw a large increase in our citations, about a 52% increase. Traffic was one of the targets for us in 2024. And so we saw an increase in our officers going out and doing traffic enforcement. Parking sites, 3,600. Red Flex saw an increase of 31%, just under 9,000 Red Flex tickets. And that was attributed to our adding more cameras to intersections. We added 3 intersections to our Red Flex program. I'll talk about our statistics and a change that happened in May of 2023. The federal government changed from the Uniform Crime Report to what they call NIBRS. NIBRS is the National Incident-Based Reporting. The reason that I mention that is because it did change the criteria in NIBRS. So when it was a Uniform Crime Report, crimes against persons were per incident. So if you had multiple victims of crimes against persons on one incident, it only counted as one. Now that is counted per victim. They also changed that in Uniform Crime Report prior to May of 2023, it was the highest crime that occurred. Now it is ranked if there's up to 10 in that incident. So obviously much more reporting of crime with that. Rape included additional criteria, which could potentially bring those numbers up. And then burglary, it's per unit. So if you had a storage unit in the UCR of a storage facility, it would count as 1. Now, if there's 20 storage units, it counts as 20 on our stats. So we thought that we would have an increase in our statistics going into 2024 with the change, but you'll be soon see that we actually had a very good 2024 with a reduction in both our violent crime and our property crimes. So in 2024, we had 7 homicides, 88 rapes, 95 robberies, aggravated assaults, 405, burglary, 186, larceny, which is your petty theft, just about 1,100, and then our motor vehicle thefts at 233. So this is a graph going back to 2008 on our statistics. So all of this is online. You can go on the Reading Police Department website and look up all the information going back to 2008. But our violent crime, we saw a spike in aggravated assault in 2023. But if you look over our violent crime, we have either dropped or stayed consistent over the time. Property crime, so this is a good one to see. It is always good as a police chief when you look at crime statistics and the graph goes down. So our property crimes continue to reduce drastically. So this is a good chart going back all the way to 2008. I like it because it shows our population. It shows the amount of officers that we had and also our community service officers, calls for service, arrest, but then all of the crime that's occurring. So if you look over the years in 2024, our violent crime has dropped or stayed consistent over the time period, all the way back to 2008 when we had similar staffing before the Great Recession, 635 cases of violent crime. And in 2024, we were at 595 cases. So we actually dropped during that time period going all the way back to then. Property crimes, 3,800 cases all the way back in 2008 with similar staffing and a much smaller population. Just over 2,100 in 2024. So again, another significant drop. So overall, our property crimes and our violent crimes from 23 to 24 are down just about 21% in both categories, property crimes and violent crime from 23 to 24. So that is a very good number and a drastic reduction. I'll talk quickly about our detective division. So our detective division has 14 detectives, 2 sergeants, and a captain. They're running 1 short right now, so we have 13. But in 2024, they had 839 cases, closed 717, just 69 sex crimes, violent crimes, 90, and our property crimes at 45. Special operations that they have been doing in 2024 include our massage parlors, our John operations, which are prostitution, and then also our retail theft. I will definitely talk about the homicides and violent crime and the great job that our detective division did in 2024 with our 7 homicides that we had. All were in custody. The suspects were in custody within days. So they do tremendous work when we have a violent crime or a homicide occur to get people into custody no matter where they go. If they leave the state, if they go out to different areas, we work with outside agencies and they're relentless to get people in custody. They do a great job. So we'll talk about homicides. Obviously, we are high for last year. So I will quickly go over our 6 cases that we have. 2 of them involve juvenile suspects, and 3 out of our 6 cases involve people that were not from the city of Reading, were from outside of the city. So we had the homicide on Ricardo. That actually counts as a homicide. It was actually an accidental shooting with a discharge of a firearm, a known friend that this person unfortunately killed, and but it does count as a homicide under the new rules. The Cypress and Hartnell, these were known victim and suspect. It was over a girl, and it was a shooting that occurred at Cypress and Hartnell in the middle of the night, and it was a juvenile suspect that was not from the area. Another juvenile suspect up on Lake Boulevard. This was another juvenile, a homeless gentleman that he bludgeoned to death. Very, very sad and unfortunate death. Random act of violence. Brent Drive. So this was another known suspect victim. They knew each other, and mental illness affected the gentleman who was our suspect. And unfortunately, we lost another victim. Meadowbrook and West Side Road. This was a double homicide. Again, this was over a girlfriend-boyfriend situation, and we had 2 during a shooting, and we had 2 deaths in that. Again, this was a gentleman that was from out of the area he was ultimately arrested and brought into custody, was from the Klamath Falls area. And our last one is the Pine Street. Again, a gentleman that was not from our area, came from Utah into a program here, and unfortunately in that program murdered a worker. Again, a very, very tragic incident that we had. Another addition that we've had to Homicides are fatal traffic collisions, so DUI traffic collisions that occur were never counted in as homicides. We do have one fatal traffic collision involving DUI that will count as a homicide on our record, which makes it look like we have more. In the past, we've never had those, and that was the South Bonneview at East Bonneview fatality traffic collision. I'll move to more positive news. Records Division. So Records Division is comprised of 15 property records technicians, 2 supervisors, and a records manager. Just over 7,000 warrants that they've entered. Sex registrants and arson registrants, just over 1,000 that they registered in 2024. Public records requests, which are extremely time-consuming, 388. They fingerprint for city staff, people that are coming in for employment, 434. Restraining orders, about 2,500. And 50 to 60 phone calls a day. So they're doing the paperwork behind the scenes to keep the police department going, do a fantastic job. 2025 stats year to date, if you can read that slide, it does show that we are continuing on a trend of crime going down in the city in the first 3 months. You do see a little bit of a decrease in proactivity. I attribute that in reports, but I attribute that to reduction in police officer staff. We've gone from the 122 to 110. So you're losing about 10% of productivity with the officers out in the field. I did not put a slide together, but one of the questions that Councilmember Danuka had, it was in regards to our repeat offenders. So I do have some of the information on that from 2024 and what we're doing to address those. So our top 10 repeat offenders accounted for 299 arrests. Our top 20 were responsible for 546. And our top 25 were responsible for 660 arrests. So that's 25 people, 660 arrests. 42 people in 2024 had 20 or more arrests with the city of Reading, with our police department. So what are we doing to address that? Kristen does a fantastic job getting that information out to our officers, to our special services unit. Crisis intervention response team is obviously instrumental in trying to establish relationships with those people and trying to get them out of the criminal justice system. These are low-level offenders. A lot of times our homeless community that we have, trying to get them help and get them off the street and out of the system. We also have the chronic offender program. Unfortunately, at the jail, we only have 3 beds for the chronic offender program. That's for your low-level, multiple offense people. We need more beds in that program, but we just don't have the space at the jail to do that. So if you have multiple arrests, they're held until they go see a judge and are immediately sentenced to serve that time. But again, only 3 beds for the city of Reading. We also have integrated in with Tracy Neal with probation and providing stats and working with her staff on our chronic offenders and working with the probation department to try to come up with solutions on the probation side to get these people help and get them out of the criminal justice system. And so our officers aren't dealing with them on a daily basis. And then obviously our nonprofits, Jonathan Anderson and his outreach team at the Good News Rescue Mission have been very instrumental working with our crisis intervention response team and making connections with these individuals and trying to get them the help they need. Most are alcohol and drug related or mental health. And so getting them the help is very important. And I'll end with that with questions or comments for each of you.
Thank you so much, Chief, for presenting this. I specifically asked you to do this work, and I deeply appreciate your insight into this. One of the questions which came up during that Shasta County meeting was, and that's what prompted me to ask for the stats, was that cities of similar size have less arrests and crime reports than we have, almost half of as much. And I couldn't believe for a moment that we have more number of criminals. So my question to you was at that time that is it we are being more proactive, that's why we are arresting more and more reports, or how much of it is the chronic repeat offenders? How much of it is the lack of jail space or lack of any accountability towards these people? So clearly, you are more proactive, and we thank you for that. But can you just help me out in understanding that compared to other cities, are we, because some of those numbers which were shown were that we have twice the number of arrests and twice the number of bookings in both felonies as well as misdemeanors. So the question is that twice the number, how much of that is because of proactive and how much of that is because of repeat offenders not being held accountable for whatever the reasons are, lack of capacity in jail or whatever? So you have some rough idea on that?
Yeah, I mean, the jail space is definitely an issue in repeat offenders. I mean, I think everybody that follows our social media sees that we have multiple offenders that we arrest on multiple times. Prop 36, we hope will change that with holding people accountable for drug-related crimes and retail theft and petty theft. But we are a proactive police department, and that's what we talked about at the Board of Supervisors. And the community, that's the expectation of the community. The Reading Police Department has always been known as being a proactive police department. And so we are out stopping cars and doing what our community wants our police officers to do, which is to be out and be proactive and be police officers. They don't want them to be reactive, waiting for the calls for service to come in. And so we hire good people. We hire good officers that want to work here because they want to be proactive. And so that is, I believe, why we have a higher rate of arrests and felony filings with the DA compared to other cities.
But that would explain almost double the number, or part of it is because, I mean, I'm sure part of it is, I'm just trying to get some sense that it's almost double the number. Right?
Yeah, some is the proactivity, but then some is also because of the jail space and people getting out and continuing to be arrested.
Because one of the things which prosecutors mentioned was the lack of number of prosecutors and the caseload increase on them that reduces their ability to prosecute. So I'm wondering is that how much of that is because you have so many repeat offenders, you have so many people who are coming again and again to be prosecuted. So it kind of stacks up, the burden keeps increasing on the prosecutors. So that's why I was interested in that question that.
Yes, I think, DA Bridget did a very good job talking about her staff with comparable workloads in other counties. And she is short-staffed. And in my opinion, they should have more deputy DAs there, and that would alleviate that. The court system and the courtrooms, we don't have enough courtrooms for the cases that we have. And so if there is not a judge available and a courtroom available, the case gets dismissed. And so that offender then gets released. And then we're arresting them again and bringing them back into the system. And it's a revolving door until we can get those layers fixed. I don't think that we have a problem at the police department level. Right. We are arresting people and bringing them business. As you heard, we bring them too much business. Right. And so they can't keep up. But as a police chief and as the chief of this community, that is the expectation. I'm not going to tell my officers to slow down and to not be out there and be proactive.
So just a little bit more accountability will actually reduce the workload for everyone. I mean, police is already doing this part, your part, but if you have more accountability, then it will reduce the work for DA and everyone else also. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Councilmember Audette.
One other aspect is that we're the county seat. So for our city, because we're the county seat, we sort of get everybody is coming a lot of times through here. So we may have 98,000 people, but on any given day, our population is over 130,000 because people come into work from other places. And so it also does, so it's not apples to apples like Reading compared to Shasta Lake or Anderson or just some other cities where they're not also the county seat. So that also increases the amount of arrests we have because it's not just our population, we have others that are coming through.
We're definitely the hub.
Yeah.
And you have all highways, including the interstate, go through Reading. We have both hospitals and all of the services are in the city of Reading. And Mike Johnson, when he was the Anderson Police Chief, he said it well. He said, if we have a problem person in the city of Anderson, they take them to Reading and they book them in the Shasta County Jail. And when they get released, they're in downtown Reading. Same thing at the hospital. If you take somebody to the hospital and they're released, they walk into downtown and they are then a Reading Police Department problem.
Vice Mayor Littell?
I think every department should pay attention to the PowerPoint put together by Kristen Gurley. So that
Fantastic.
made it very, very exciting. So I just want to say that was really neat. Question, we've had discussion about prosecuting misdemeanors in-house. What kind of impact do you think that would have? Would that help with the bottleneck a little bit, or maybe that's a question?
I would refer that to the city attorney who would be handling those in that
In
workload.
terms of impact, I may kick it back to Chief Berner. I will say that is something that we are looking at. I am happy to report that one of our new assistant city attorneys actually came to us from the DA's office, where she was a senior deputy district attorney focusing on homicides. So she's probably overqualified to be doing any of the misdemeanor prosecutions that we may take up.
And I will say, 42 people with 20-plus arrests, which are misdemeanor Reading Municipal Code type violations. Those people, whether we prosecute them in-house or at the DA's office, those people, we need to find alternative ways to get to those people and get them out of the system. Citing them for municipal codes is not going to solve that problem. The crisis intervention response team is definitely a step in the right direction and getting them in with services, getting them in with our nonprofits, getting them into housing so they're not a drain on our resources at the police department level.
Yeah, and I would just add, in our conversations with the district attorney, one of the things that was highlighted is really some of the limitations are not coming just from the lack of prosecuting the cases. It's coming from the lack of judicial resources to hear the cases. It's coming from lack of space within the jail to actually keep those people incarcerated if they are in fact convicted. There are larger limitations than just any questions as to how the cases get prosecuted.
Just one other topic is that, as the council knows, working with the county on their alternative custody programs can also be a great benefit. So as the council knows, we are working with the county on that. And so I applaud the county for moving forward on an alternative custody program, and the council, of course, for working in partnership.
I just want to say, Chief, we meet frequently, and I think you guys do a wonderful job. And I just love the work that you guys do, the tenaciousness, the boldness, the way that you guys go after it is the way it should be. And I just say thank you very much for all that you guys do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Member Audette.
Well, you mentioned the CERT team. Now that we are going to lose 2 CERT officers and go down from 6 days to 4 days, how is that going to impact the outreach and especially for the
A definite impact. So we already have done the reduction. They're already back in patrol, the 2 CERT. So we have only 2. We had 4. But I will also say that we never truly had a second CERT team. A CERT team has a mental health clinician embedded with the 2 officers.
So
And
we're
the
going from
county,
6 days to 4, is that
the
right?
county never provided that second clinician. So we had 2 officers that worked as a CERT team without a clinician. So we technically had 1 full team. So those 2 officers did go back to patrol, but they still have the training and the expertise at the patrol level to be able to respond to calls. But yes, they're only available 4 days a week currently. We were 6 days a week with the 2 teams. It made it beneficial to have the 6-day-a-week coverage.
And are they still out of the downtown office? Are we keeping that downtown office?
Correct, yes.
And are the park rangers out of there as well? Or the downtown bike team out of the
Downtown bike team is out of the old police department, 1313
Oh, okay.
California. And the CERT team is out of off of California Street also.
Councilmember Danuka.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, some of these people really need some support. Alternative custody is a great program, but clearly we all know that some of these people really need help in mental health or drug addiction. And I'm working with the Shark and other people to see the county to see how we can provide more mental health and drug de-addiction support in the form of maybe a drug dependence, chemical dependence treatment facility or inpatient treatment facility. And we really hope that will help reduce this burden on our community and police department, but also help these individuals. And hopefully it will become a model for the other communities also. It was used to be Shasta General Hospital, used to take care of these things until 1980s and even until early 2000s when it was open. Since that was closed, it became much more difficult to handle these things. So I'm hoping that we can bring that back in some or other form. So hopefully that'll help.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to council travel reports, which I don't think there are any. Item 12, suggestions for council members related to potential topics for future council meetings.
I think Tanessa should bake every week.
We have a recommendation for Tanessa to bake cookies every week.
Done.
So be it. All right,
So moved.
we're adjourned.